everybody. I'm George Riles. I'm here at Last Chance Archery because it's time for another thing a week. Okay, just so you know, you should subscribe. Only 20% of you that are watching this right now are actually subscribed. There's a few benefits to that. A, you get notified. B, I'm going to do some giveaways. You might win a free lesson. Jonathan at Last Chance Archery, they're going to do some giveaways too. Use shirts and hats and stuff. So make sure that you subscribe, and periodically throughout the filming of Thing of Weeks, we're going to give away a few things. So make sure that you're subscribed. Also, you can get lessons from me at improvemyarchery.com. That's improvemyarchery.com. You can do it online, which works really great. You can also come to Archery Learning Center and do it in person, and I can go through all your stuff and watch you shoot and do the whole bit. So we can do all of that at improvemyarchery.com. I can also come to your archery shop or your club and put on a whole weekend. I go all around the world and I do these weekend workshops, and you can have one at your club or your archery shop. All you have to do is contact me. You can do it through YouTube, or you send me an email or whatever. I'm not hard to find. And we'll pick a weekend that works out for you, and I'll be there, and we'll have 20 of your closest friends. We can have a workshop together, and contact me through improvemyarchery.com. Okay, so here we go. It's time for another Thing a Week. All right, last week we went through tuxedo syndrome and how tension can conceal mistakes and how to work your way through that and establish a rhythm for a tournament. And I mentioned last week that there's a difference in how you shoot a tournament and how you shoot a practice. The thing is most people do this in reverse accidentally. Most of the time, people enter a tournament and they're paying attention to every move they make as if they're under a magnifying glass and everybody is watching every move you make, and you're stressing out about making everything exactly perfect. The problem with that is that uses up attention span and brain bandwidth, and you end up making more mistakes because you're paying attention to how to do something rather than the system of doing it. And in a tournament, you have to just do it. In practice, you have to think about how to do it. And most people get in practice, they get their bow out, they shoot half an hour, kind of warming themselves up a little bit, and then they reel off a score and they go, yeah, 325x, I'm ready for the tournament. And then they go to the tournament and they go, okay, don't screw this up. And everything changes. What I propose is that you flip that attitude. And in practice, you go, okay, don't screw this up. And you pay attention to every move you make. And you let down a lot, because every little thought that's incorrect, every little move that's incorrect, that time that you pull your bow back and the grip catches your attention, it feels funny. Like maybe the skin is a little twisted up in the grip or something. And you just carry on and you shoot it. And then you I'll fix it next time, and you shoot it, and you just keep going. Because practice doesn't matter, and oftentimes when you're just shooting arrows, you perceive a mistake, you know it's there, you struggle through it and go ahead and let it go. And then when we enter a tournament, we wonder, why did I just let that arrow go? I knew it was wrong. Well, the reason that you did that is because you do it all the time in practice. So in practice, when you do your big four, fingers, grip, target, breath, and you turn your brain on, okay, let's get this right. Here we go. Pick it up, pull it back, shoulders, pin on, peep in front of your face, and then you look through your sight and the pin is doing something weird. Rather than struggle through that, go ahead and just let that down. Take the arrow out of your bow and put it back in your quiver if you have to, just to reset. You may notice, if you're watching a lot of top pros shoot, they'll pull the bow back, and just right about the time the peep gets in their eye, they let it down and reset. Some pros, I've noticed Braden Galantine does this, he'll just take the arrow completely out of his bow and put it back in his quiver and just restart. You may not have to go to that extreme to reset yourself, but it wouldn't hurt you either, right? So the key here is you're going to pick one component that you're practicing, and then you're going to ignore everything else, because archery is kind of a linear thing. So if you're not careful, you'll be paying attention to a whole bunch of things and you won't really be learning anything. But if you focus on I'm just going to get the grip right, and then I'm just going to shoot the shot. Later, you can practice the other components individually. And the most successful shooters, the ones that improve the fastest and get to the point to where they're in danger of winning a tournament, they practice these pieces individually, and they practice them very deliberately. Like you're trying something new with your shoulders. You'll blank bail until you feel like that you have that mastered, and then you'll start with the target up close and slowly walk it back so you can incorporate the new technique and figure out how to aim with the new technique. All the while, one little thing, one little feel, one little random thought rabbit runs through your head. If you're just thinking the wrong thing when you raise your bow up, you're going to start all over. In practice, the more vigilant you are and the more exact, I'm talking about, you're going to be a consistency tyrant in practice. So then in a tournament, you go, all right, let's test this out. And you go 100% top speed all the way through to the end, and you just shoot the shot. And leading up to the tournament, I'll practice. I'll increase my arrow counts, get everything ready, and about 3 or 4 days before the tournament, I pack everything down in the bag. I've verified it's good. Everything's all set. All my arrows are good. I've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and I put my bow down in the bag. I'll take a couple of day break so that my muscle can recover, my brain can relax, I can reduce stress. I'll get my clothes washed and dried and ready to go, put them in the bag 2 or 3 days in advance, and have everything all packed up right next to the door. So then when the time comes I got to go to the airport, I just pick it up, put it in the car, and just go. So that way I can reduce stress, I can reduce that mental scramble before a tournament. So that way I can be in the right mind when I get to practice or familiarization day at the tournament, and I can just start shooting my bow. And while I'm at the tournament, I'm not trying to find it, I'm not trying to fix it, I'm not trying to practice individual things. I'm practicing the rhythm of shooting arrows with as tight a consistency as I can. I pay attention to the whole package, the whole system of how to shoot an arrow as a whole unit, not individual pieces. And in the end, in practice, you think about how to do the skill and you feel the individual bits of the skill. In tournament, you just do the skill. You don't think about how to do it. The minute you start thinking about how to do it, you start thinking about the little things you do with your fingers on the release to make it fire, that's going to interrupt your flow, and that's going to open you up to a mistake. When you get to the point that you can actually do that, when you just shoot in a tournament and then you practice hard, your tournament scores will be higher than your practice scores. And when that happens, you know you got it right. All right, everybody, let's practice well. I'll see you next week on Thing a Week.